Hello all and welcome to the Rails board meeting. This is Friday, April 28th, 2023. I'm Alex Vancina, president of the Rails board, and I call this meeting to order at 1:05 p.m. Emily, would you please call roll?
Sure. Monica Caldecott,
Here.
Rosie Camargo,
Here.
Alice Creason,
Here.
Robin Hellenthal,
Here.
Diane Hollister,
Here.
Renee Leva,
Here.
Jennifer McIntosh, Julie Milivek,
Here.
Becky Spratford,
Here.
Thomas Stagg,
Here.
Beth Teppen,
Here.
Alex Vancina,
Here.
Vanessa Villarreal, and Karen Boydick.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Emily. Next, we have recognition of guests and announcements. Since we have an in-person quorum, we do not need to do a roll call for every vote. So let's start with guests here in Coal Valley.
Emily Feister, Rails.
Sharon Swanson, Rails.
Monica Harris, Rails.
Ryan Heppel, Rails.
Joe Philippek, Rails.
Laura Nemeth, Rails.
Carolyn Coulter, Prairie Cat.
Elena Mendoza, Rails.
Okay, how about in Burr Ridge? Do we have any guests in Burr Ridge? Looks pretty empty over there.
Ricketts.
All right. Emily, would you please read the names of any guests on Zoom?
Sure. We have Mary Kate Murray. We have Dan Bostrom, Mark Hatch, Nancy George, Mary Witt, Ann Slaughter, Demond Warfield, Jeff McCarney, Nicole Zimmerman, and Ola Gronsky.
Thank you, Emily. If Emily has not read your name, please announce yourself and put your name in the chat. Next, we have public comments. Emily, are there any public comments in Burr Ridge?
No.
Okay. Looks like none in Burr Ridge. Are there any public comments at the state library?
No one from State Library is here yet.
Okay.
Oh, is it working?
Are there any public comments from Zoom participants? And if not, Emily, did we receive any by email?
We did not.
Thank you. All right, Zoom chat will be disabled after the public comments section. Are there any other announcements this time? Okay, next we have the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to move any items to the regular agenda for further discussion? If not, may I have a motion and a second for adoption of the consent agenda?
So moved. Julie Milivek.
Julie, thank you.
Second, Karen.
Karen, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next is Sharon Swanson with the financial report.
Good afternoon, everyone. You will find the reports for March in your packet, both the financial report and the disbursement report. You will note that the reports do incorporate the budget revision for the delivery staff salary changes that were approved by the board at the February 7th special board meeting. The March 31st general fund cash and investment balance of 23.3 million would fund approximately 22.4 months of operations. This coverage did decrease slightly from the last month due to us not having received any additional APC grant payments during the month of March. General fund revenues through March of nearly 13.3 million were 1.5 million above budget due to above budget APC grant revenues received to date. And the only remaining portion of our APC grant that we have yet to receive is the federal or LSTA portion, which is a little over $1.9 million. And as of right before the meeting, because I just checked, it has not been vouchered yet. But we are hopeful that we will still receive our entire fiscal year's grant by May or during May, which would be our third year in a row of that having happened. Investment income was just over $569,000 through March, which was an unbelievable 876% above the year-to-date budgeted amount. The Federal Reserve, as we all know, has now raised interest rates a total of 9 times since last year in March. But this increase is now expected to be one of the last before interest rates do hit their peak at 5.25% over the next 6 months. When Rails had the last investment ladder maturity in January, the funds were reinvested in 4 2-year CDs at 4.32% average rate. to lock in the increase in interest rates, the bump that we were seeing at that point a little bit longer. And Rails will have a third of these treasury notes mature in July. And and also 4 of our CDs from the very first maturity that we had 6 months prior to January, which will those 4 CDs will mature in August. So we're hoping at that point, when we're at that peak interest rate, to lock in those investments again at that higher rate for a little bit longer. General fund expenditures through March of 10.36 million were $813,000 below budget. And this was due to lower contractual services expenditures. And it was from a variety of factors, mostly from a less than budgeted increase in our negotiated contract with our delivery source outsourcing contractor, as well as not having yet had the opportunity to award any Find More Illinois joining incentives. And I did ask, and we don't expect to award any before the fiscal year end. And also a shift of the cataloging grant opportunities to later on in the year due to a retooling of the process. We do expect to award slightly more than the budgeted $80,000 of these grants, but this overage will be absorbed by less than budgeted expenditures for the Verse open source product that we had planned on participating in, and the product is from Autographics, and it was to provide automation for non-automated and under-automated libraries under the Find More Illinois umbrella. Personnel was also a major category that is currently under budget, and this is primarily due to delayed hiring for the operations manager that supports RSA, the 3 new positions that we had in the fiscal year 23 budget, as well as the current vacancy of the assistant director position. And travel is currently under budget, and this is expected to increase as we near the fiscal year end, but we're probably not going to nearly make what we budgeted for travel. Library materials were also below budget due to timing differences. And vehicle expenditures as a whole are below budget, but this is due to the fuel prices falling below during most of the fiscal year what we had budgeted for, because we had budgeted at $4.25 per gallon, but we're now getting a lot closer to that mark. So we're planning on continuing that $4.25 per gallon budget through fiscal year 24. And also this under budget expense is offset by increased repairs and maintenance on our vehicles, of course, due to the aging of our fleet. So during March, Rails incurred expenses, shifting to the capital projects fund, to install the East Peoria warehouse fan, the expenditures of which showed up in February's reports. So this is the installation expense, as well as the electrical work for the new power array for the new network switches that we purchased, and additional electrical work for the new Burr Ridge cubicles for the 2 new work areas that we created. Furniture purchases for those new workspaces were unbudgeted, but we're not planning to purchase the 8 delivery vehicles that we had budgeted, so it's more than absorbed by that. And one of the dealerships that we already have a relationship with did secure the state contract for vehicles just recently, but we do plan to incorporate a sizable vehicle purchase in our fiscal year 2024 budget at this point. And that's just about all that I have. Do you have any questions for me?
So I have a quick question. So because
Yes.
they got the state, okay, that means we don't have to do anything but just buy from them.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
but the vehicles are selling at full price despite having the state contract. So we won't get a discount.
No,
at
but we
least
won't have to
don't
go
jump through the
through.
hoops.
The
Yes,
bid process.
Yes,
right,
exactly. That was my main question. That's
For the
fine.
emergency
Mhm.
procurement.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions for Sharon? Thank you, Sharon. We'll now move on to other reports. I have no report this month, so we have committee reports included in the packet. Were there any questions or additions to those reports? Okay, if not, next is Monica with the Rails monthly report.
Hello, all. Before we start on the content of the Rails report, I just want to offer an update on the Associate Executive Director position, because I know we had some questions about that. So we had posted for that position. The position posting closed on the 25th, so on Tuesday. And as of yesterday, we have been through all of the applications that we received. We had a robust response. And so we have 36 highly qualified candidates for this position. This is a great position for us to be in because we know we'll end up with someone great, but it will be probably a long path going forward as we get ready to do this. But next steps will be that we will begin the process of identifying who will go through to pre-screening. Then we will have our first interview process and then a secondary interview process for finalists that will also incorporate members of the staff. So we will keep you posted as that's moving forward, but we are pleased with the response and we think we're going to end up with a great person in the position.
The original, I mean, I know you're gonna interview the person, but who else?
We're still determining exactly what the process is going to look like. We go through pre-screening first, and that's just HR. The next step will include a small group, but I'm not sure where we're at yet. For the finalists, it will be the executive team will have an interview, and then there will be essentially a meet and greet process with the Rails staff. So it'll have both.
36 candidates, you might have your work cut out.
Yes. Yes, that is clear.
So when Sharon said we haven't filled that yet, it's still gonna not be in the budget for a little while.
No, but we're moving closer all the time, right? And I think the important part is that we end up with the right person in this role because it's really important. So we're making progress and getting a little bit closer, which is good. Yes, absolutely. We also wanted to just highlight some of the meetings we've been doing. So lots of meets and greets throughout the state, including one yesterday here in Cole Valley. We also have others coming up on May 3rd at the Rockford Public Library, on May 10th at the Algonquin Area Public Library District, and on May 18th at the Quincy Public Library. So we're looking forward to those. In your packet, we tried to kind of summarize some of the concerns that we're hearing from libraries, a lot of similar themes in terms of what we're hearing, but it has been interesting to hear some of the differences geographically. We have heard a lot of feedback from folks who really appreciate the opportunity to meet in person and connect with folks in person. So we are glad to continue to move forward with this process. It does take a lot of time and effort on behalf of the staff to organize these, but we think they've been well worth it. And we're really excited for the response that we've received. In addition to those meet and greet sessions, we've also, I've been going to several networking group meetings where I've been invited, and that's been another way to connect with a lot of directors from an area all at once and get to listen to their challenges and answer their questions and hear about their concerns. And so I highlighted some of those things in your packet if you want to look more at that. We've also been doing a lot of one-on-one visits with our board members. Thank you very much to those of you who have met with me at your libraries, given me a tour, shared some of your feedback, and I'm looking forward to meeting with the rest of you that I haven't had the opportunity to meet with soon. And we've been meeting with our delivery hubs. So of our delivery hubs, we've met with Bolingbrook, we've met with East Peoria, and with Cole Valley as of yesterday. We're also going to be meeting with Rockford next week. So those meetings have been great, a great opportunity to meet kind of face-to-face with our delivery staffs, get everybody together in the same room. A lot of those folks are en route by themselves most of the time, so they don't even always have an opportunity to be in the same room to talk about things that they've noticed and how they communicate with Rails. Mark has attended all of those as well, so he's been able to answer some kind of specific delivery questions. But again, a great opportunity to both meet with our delivery staff and also talk to them about their ideas, their concerns, how they connect to Rails. It's been a really great experience. There are some additional details about the legislative processes that are happening throughout the state that were included. One additional detail would be for Illinois House Bill 2789, that there is a hearing now scheduled in the Senate on May 3rd at 1 p.m. So if you're interested in following that, that is the next time that bill will be discussed. There's been robust discussion about that bill at most of the meet and greets as well, lots of conversation and a lot of excitement about the possibilities with Secretary of State Alexi Janulius. I also was able to attend a City Club event thanks to an invite from Commissioner Chris Brown of the Chicago Public Library, who invited us to attend. Secretary Janulius was at that event and introduced the panel. And so it was an opportunity for me to meet him directly, which was great. And he once again reiterated his support and interest in libraries. Greg McCormick was there as well. Leslie Bednar came, Cindy Robinson from ILA, and Carolyn Kinsella from ISLE were all at that event together to discuss the importance of intellectual freedom in libraries in Illinois. And there were lots and lots of city leaders from Chicago who are not otherwise connected to libraries that were also there. And it was great to see that support. So really exciting, good, positive things happening and coming up. The ISLAC meeting in May is also coming up. We are going to have a focus of broadband in Illinois, really looking at the infrastructure that currently exists. Ann Slaughter will also be attending to share her perspective based on a lot of the experience she's had looking at this issue. And Heartland, Troy will also be there to kind of explain some of the things that he's been working on. As Sharon noted, we mentioned the emergency purchase investigation last month, potentially for vehicles. But since we were able to identify this dealership that has gotten the government contract, we are going to put that on the back burner for now. If for some reason that does not work out, we may be pursuing this again in fiscal year 24, but we will keep you abreast of any developments with that, of course. And then I know we'll mention this at the end of the meeting, but just to make sure everybody knows, our next meeting on May 26th starts at 10 a.m. due to the holiday weekend. So just want to make sure everybody's aware and make sure you adjust your calendars. Any questions about anything that I shared from the report today?
I have a question. How is ISLAC meeting on the 25th when ILA is also meeting on the 25th at the state library?
What time is the ILA meeting? Is it later?
10 to 1.
I don't know. I'll take a look. I wasn't sure about the ILA schedule, but maybe
Yeah, 'cause
they're
we're meeting at the state
connected.
library as well. So
Okay, maybe
people
they're in.
were wondering what was going on there.
Yeah, we'll take a look. Okay.
Good. You just got back from a submarine. You can ask her. Literally, they were on Thursday. They were on submarine. Her and Becca, it was awesome.
Thanks, Becky. We'll investigate.
Okay, because we both were like, how'd that happen?
Thank you, Monica. Next, we have Nancy with a report on the World Language Cataloging Services Program. Nancy?
Thank you, Alex. Hope you can see my screen.
We
We
can.
Can, yes.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nancy George. I am Rails Cataloging Services Manager. First, I would like to confirm you all can see my screen, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Before we get started, I wanted to take a moment to introduce myself and give you some background on my work. As some of you may not be familiar with me and my role within Rails, I believe it is important to establish a sense of familiarity and understanding. So about me, as a librarian with 15 years of experience in cataloging, I have the privilege of working in different types of libraries, including public, academic, and school libraries. So my journey began in India, where I started as a cataloger and quickly fell in love with cataloging. So this is my 5th year at Rails. Over the years, I have taken a range of responsibilities in cataloging services, including providing cataloging training for our members, working on specialized cataloging projects such as word language cataloging, and providing cataloging support to other programs like Find More Illinois and eRead Illinois. One of the big chunks of my work is providing cataloging training for our members. So first I wanted to mention a few things about the cataloging training opportunities we offer. We provide a variety of cataloging training for our members, which include repeating courses and specialized supplementary sessions, either by me or outside presenters. We've been offering these training courses as a series of webinars and presentations. However, this year, we introduced a few of the courses on a new platform called the Moodle. In addition to the webinars and presentations, these Moodle courses are asynchronous courses, which means participants do not need to log in at a specific time. But however, these participants are expected to complete assignments and quizzes within the assigned time frame of the course. We received a lot of positive feedback on these courses, especially asynchronous courses. At Rails, we committed to constantly improving our cataloging training offerings by developing new courses and updating existing ones. If there is a specific cataloging topic that your library is interested in, and if you would like us to cover it, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. We value your input and we will do our best to provide the relevant training or webinar. One of the significant challenges we are facing in cataloging training is the high demand for the training courses. Whenever we offer a cataloging training, it fills up quickly and we receive numerous emails from individuals who miss out on enrolling in the class. So this high demand is specifically an indication there's a need for cataloging training and more people are interested in acquiring cataloging skills. So to address this challenge of high demand, we are exploring some possible solutions to ensure that more individuals have the access to the training. But the issue with one person, it's not possible to increase the number of training we offer. We are hoping we are going to find some kind of solution for that. And now I would like to talk about the main topic of today, that is Word Language Cataloging Services Program. So Rails identified the need for specialized cataloging support for libraries, particularly in the area of word language cataloging and original cataloging through several surveys conducted over the past 5 years. So in 2022, we were able to establish a centralized cataloging support program, that is the Word Language Cataloging Service, to provide original cataloging and word language cataloging services to libraries. So I'm so excited to share with you the progress we have made and the potential this service has for our members. About this service program, sometimes cataloging can be very time-consuming and a complex process, and it requires specialized skills and resources, especially with the word languages. So this program addresses the need for specialized cataloging support and provides efficient and cost-effective cataloging solution for Illinois libraries. So it's a statewide cataloging support program. It provides a supplementary cataloging service to libraries when original cataloging and word language cataloging is needed. This is an ongoing cataloging support program. One of the most significant advantage of the program is that it is fully funded by the library grant from state library. So there is no cost to libraries to use this service. This can be particularly valuable for smaller libraries or those with the limited resources, which may struggle to allocate funds to cataloging support. This service covers all languages that are considered part of your library's regular collection, and the eligible formats include most print and physical AV materials. This means that the library can use this service to catalog a diverse range of materials without needing to worry about language barriers and format restrictions. To use this service, all the libraries need to do is to submit requests on our website. The libraries can send us physical items, photocopies, images, or PDF files of items to be cataloged. If libraries are looking for a faster service, I would recommend sending the images or pictures of the items to catalog instead of sending the physical items. If you send the physical item, the turnaround time might take a while due to the shipping time. You can learn all these guidelines and procedures on how to request this service on our website. So from the participants of these programs commented a lot of positive comments. I will talk about that later, but I wanted to mention one thing. It is very easy to request this service. Who can participate in this service? All Illinois libraries, all types of libraries can utilize this service. It is a statewide cataloging support program. Now I wanted to mention highlights of this program. I'm happy to report that this project greatly expanded resource sharing by providing access to a variety of unique materials, because by providing access to materials in languages other than English, libraries can better serve non-native English speakers and promote inclusivity. This program has had a positive impact on a diverse range of libraries across Illinois. In fact, multi-type libraries from across the state have participated in this service and benefited from this program. So far, the program has been able to catalog materials in 19 different world languages, which reflects the program's commitment to diversity and inclusion. A few of the examples you can see here, I listed here in this on the slide. Furthermore, the program have been utilized by a range of different types of libraries, specifically 25 public libraries, 2 academic libraries, 2 school libraries, and 1 special libraries have all taken advantage of this program. We observed there is a recent surge in interest and demand for our cataloging program, and it is a clear indication that this project is essential for Illinois libraries. Because I mentioned this because in April 2023 alone, we received 185 requests for cataloging, which is 75 more items than cataloged in the entire previous quarter. This service also helps libraries to ensure their local practices in their catalog. As we know, libraries highly value the ability to maintain the quality of bibliography records in the database by following local practices. So we work with the libraries and consortium to create custom cataloging profile for their libraries. So this helps libraries to save time of catalogers and ensure consistent local practices. For example, I work with CCS Library Consortium. This collaboration helped many ways to CCS catalogers, such as help them to save time when they load full bibliography records to their local catalog. This also helped them to reduce their backlog. Another example, we collaborated with Northern Illinois University Library to create a cataloging profile that reflects the specific local practices of their library. As a result of this joint effort, the Northern Illinois University Library has been able to use our service more efficiently and effectively, and they were able to access a wealth amount of resources to their public for research and study. If any library is interested in cataloging, creating this custom cataloging profile for their library based on their local practice, I am happy to work with them. So please reach out to me. Our service have received positive feedback from our members who have utilized it. This service has been an instrumental in significantly reducing the backlog of titles. Moreover, this service had enabled some of our members to order titles in non-Latin script, a capability that has been critical in expanding library collections and making them more diverse and inclusive. By offering this capability, libraries have been able to make a wealth of diverse materials more accessible to their community. I wanted to show you a few quotes from different libraries. So from this, we can see that this program has proven to be a significant aid to libraries in many ways. One of the biggest challenge regarding cataloging most libraries face is the inability to catalog all languages they collect due to lack of staff. However, this program has helped reduce the backlog of uncatalogued items in such libraries. It also helped libraries to support teaching and research around the world, especially Northern Illinois Library mentioned that. And libraries have also expressed a satisfaction with the provision of complete catalog records, particularly for items they cannot read themselves. Furthermore, the program has enabled some libraries to expand the language of materials they offer and make it more accessible to their community. Overall, this program has a significant positive impact on libraries and their ability to provide diverse resources to their patrons. We also identified not only this service helped those libraries that needed assistance in cataloging items in different word languages and different format, it also helped libraries advance equity, diversity, and inclusion in their collection. By providing access to materials in languages other than English, libraries can better serve non-native English speakers and promote inclusivity. This enables library to acquire materials in broader range of cultures and perspectives. Regarding promotion, we widely promoted this service program through Rails e-News, Illinois Heartland e-News, ILA e-News, Carly, and different Rails email lists. I also did a presentation about this service program at CCS, Pinnacle, and RSA catalogers meeting and different Rails networking group meetings, such as Rails Tech Services networking group meeting and Word Language networking group meeting. A notable pattern that we have observed is that the libraries who have utilized this service tend to use it again almost on in monthly basis. As I mentioned earlier, we received 185 items to catalog this month alone. So it is apparent that there is a high level of interest in the service that we are offering. So I can say that libraries, some libraries are not aware about this service and how easy it is to use the service. So our plan is to persistently promote the program by utilizing various e-newsletters and email lists. So we aim to provide comprehensive overview of this program and also emphasizing key features and advantages and the languages it covers. Additionally, we intended to spotlight the EDI elements of this program. With that, I am happy to answer any questions you may have, or you can reach out to me anytime, individually anytime. Thank you, everyone.
I'm gonna share a public compliment for Nancy.
Yeah.
So Nancy, this is Becky Spradford. I was having lunch with Karen Toonan, who you probably know because she's in charge of collections for Naperville. And they're doing a lot of work with their foreign language collection. And they have I think it's 12 or 10 languages that are in their regular collection, like you talk about. And she was talking to her world languages and I said, oh, we're having a report tomorrow. And she said, I just love Nancy. So I'm passing on that compliment. Awesome. You've been very helpful to them. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Nancy. This is board member Monica Caldecott off of Zoom. And I just wanted to thank you as well. One of my library aides in our high school took one of the Moodle courses, and she was already very skilled in cataloging, but definitely added to her knowledge, and it's helped us to get our catalog in good order. We are adding books in Ukrainian as well. So always good to have more skills and more knowledge of what those records will look like. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to thank Monica and Becky for sharing those compliments. We received so many compliments about what Nancy is doing. And Nancy, we really appreciate the work that you're doing. It's valuable service for our libraries. And so thank you very much for this report today. It really shows the depth and breadth of what you're doing here.
And her classes fill up like that.
That's right. Huge need.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nancy. Next, we have the State Library report. Do we have anyone from the State Library today?
Not.
All right. In that case, next we have new business. And the first one is the draft operational plan outline. Monica?
Thank you, Alex. So we shared with you today the draft operational plan for fiscal year 2024. There's a lot of details in this report, and we will definitely have opportunity if you have questions about any part of the 23-page report. We will definitely have opportunity to do that. I do want to highlight the pieces that we highlighted within the memo, just to note some of those pieces as well. But of course, one of our biggest expenses is salaries. And as many of you are looking at in your libraries, inflation is continuing to drive prices up generally, and it is affecting our salaries. We are locally and throughout the rail service area seeing library salary increases in the neighborhood of 3 to 5%. We do need to remain competitive. We have an incredible staff that we want to retain. And we are considering between a 4 and 4.5 increase across the board raise. As part of the budget process, we will provide you with the figures for both of those numbers, both 4 and 4.5%, and that will be part of our discussion at the May board meeting. Our healthcare costs also continue to increase with an overall increase of 11% for this year, which is pretty significant. And we also anticipate that there may be increases in property and casualty insurance premiums as well. As we have mentioned before, compression in our salary scale does continue to be an issue. We have reprioritized a benchmark of salaries across the organization. We do that with HR Source. We have not done a benchmark of our positions since 2020. And as many of you know, a lot of our positions may have different values in the new marketplace. So we are looking at that benchmarking process for fiscal year 2024. That may have some implications for future years. So we will have to look at how to move some of those changes forward, perhaps in a stepped fashion. But we do want to note that that is in the plan that we are presenting to you all in May. As we have mentioned earlier in this report, replacement vehicles remain a top priority for fiscal year 2024 after many years of no vehicle purchases. I think our last year of vehicle purchases was in 2019. We have vehicles that are way above our best practice mileage, and we're spending a lot in repairs as a result. So this is definitely a priority for this year. So we are budgeting at least $720,000 for vehicle replacement in fiscal year 2024. That is a capital expense, which is different than our operating budget, but we want you to know that those things are coming. Other facilities upgrades, which would also come through as capital expenses, include new carpeting here in Cole Valley, which it's been a long time since this carpet has been replaced, replacement of a faulty outdoor sprinkler system, which is causing leaking into the property at Burr Ridge. And then there is a sliding door that is broken at Burr Ridge that needs to be replaced along with it's essentially the patio system that you see as you drive by on Burr Ridge is crumbling. And just from an infrastructure standpoint needs to be replaced as well. So those things you'll all see in the capital budget, as well as additional IT infrastructure changes that are needed, including printers, firewalls, monitors that are all scheduled for replacement because they're at end of life, and modernizing the network cabling at Burr Ridge through a redesign and replacement project and an audit of our security practices. So those are sort of the new expenses that you will see in this coming budget. We do also have some updated services that we want to include that you saw here in the operational plan, but I just want to call your attention to today. That includes several programs for additional data analysis and evaluation. That would be for our deals and discounts program, delivery, our LSABs, and our eRead Illinois pricing model are all being looked at with a comprehensive look with our data team. We're also continuing our efforts in EDI, including offering additional EDI training that would be targeted at public library trustees, conducting a full analysis of our Rails employee handbook through an equity lens, and the publishing of our EDI trainer and presenter directory, which we were waiting for our new website to have available. We are also looking at evaluating our Find More Illinois program for potential add-on services, including an ILS that's aimed at non-automated and under-automated libraries. This would be of huge help for libraries who aren't able to make the leap to a consortia environment, but still need a way to be able to share with others. We will also be looking for additional opportunities for member engagement, including more in-person meeting opportunities at Rails locations in fiscal year 24, the development of regular email lists that will go out to libraries by type so that libraries can receive their information that they need by their own type. And then our service inequity study is going to continue. And after we receive the results of that, we're going to be looking at potential metrics that can be used to address those findings. And we can use those metrics in order to target our member engagement strategies. We are also continuing our focus on partnership. That's been a huge part of what we've been focusing on in these last few months. And we're going to continue that with the Chicago Public Library and the Illinois Heartland System rebrand of Explore More Illinois to have that program reflect a real statewide focus. So we're working with those teams, including their marketing teams, in order to address that. We are also looking at celebrating the 10-year anniversary of eRead Illinois, and Leslie Bednar and I at Heartland have been in conversation about a joint board meeting of the Rails and IHLS boards in April of 2024, very tentatively. But so we're looking forward to the potential for that. We are also at work on a succession plan for Rails in conjunction with the Rails Board Policy Committee, additional software enhancements for Consortium Manager, the Rails website, potentially time tracking and data mapping software, and the planning of an in-person staff day for fiscal year 2024, which we also have not done since before COVID began. So that is sort of my highlight reel, but there's a lot in this document. So any questions, comments, anything that you'd like to know about the operational plan as it exists today?
Monica, this is Monica Caldecott on Zoom. I just want to make 2 comments and 1 question. So the comments are, yay, that there's a good focus on improving and developing partnerships. I'm so glad that they exist, and maybe that it makes it into this plan to continue to invest time and effort and energy to take the partnerships that we have now and keep them moving forward. I think that's one of the strong things that I see and love about what Rails is putting their time and effort into. A little shout out to Renee for being a good idea with the succession plan. Unfortunately, he had to live through a hard thing in his position, and I'm glad that Rails gets to benefit from his good idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think I'll just end with 1 question. Find More Illinois, as a member too, I would maybe just add, and maybe it was, you know, part of your add-on service idea, but maybe the idea of non-returnable items through Find More Illinois, specifically academic articles, would be very helpful for high school members of Find More Illinois.
Thank you for that comment, Monica. And we will definitely continue to explore the possibilities for enhancements to Find More Illinois. I think that's a great suggestion. I don't unfortunately know enough about the ins and outs of what makes that piece possible to address that today, but we will definitely work with our team on seeing what the possibilities are there.
Cool.
Additional questions, comments? Well, thank you all for the presentation. We'll, of course, continue to discuss this in May as we look at the budget in more detail.
Good. Thank you, Monica. Let's see. That brings us to still on new business. Next, we have Dan Bostrom with the certification report and new member information.
Yes. Hello. Hi, everyone. So before I want to get into that first document, the withdrawal list, I just want to say a huge thank you to the Rails admin team who did so much work on this. I'll name specifically Emily Feister, Karen Goyer, Rainier Krempel, Mary Kate Murray, and Stacy Palmisano. This is really tedious work. The team spends a ton of time tracking people down and just trying to get certification done. So kudos to them for everything that they've done this year. There are actually 2 lists on this page. One is the withdrawn members, and this is information only for you all in the board. The Illinois State Library requires us to share this list, but you don't have to vote on these. Basically, in most of these situations, a person has responded to us and they've said, hey, the library is no longer working here, or we physically closed the libraries, one of those 2, a variety of those type of responses. So before I kind of move on to the other list, the suspension list, is there any question about those libraries on that first page there? Okay, well, the suspension list is where we need board approval. So in these cases, and it's two individual libraries, we haven't been able to get anyone to confirm that that they want to withdraw. So so basically the action moves to us. And before we could do anything, we need the board vote, and then we'll send them a letter, a certified letter saying, you're suspended. They will have the opportunity to rejoin, just as the same as the withdrawn libraries will as well. And it will be all confirmed by the Illinois State Library after this vote. So is there anything I can answer about those two libraries that we're going to suspend today? Okay. Do you want to do this first and then do the new member thing, or do you want to do it all together? Okay,
No, two
Sure.
separate motions.
great.
All right. May I have a motion and a second for approval of the certification report, including withdrawal and suspension of members and requesting final authority of the state library?
So moved, Alice. Seconded, Robin.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. All right,
Thank
next
you.
we have new member, Dan.
Yep, so I've been in touch with DeVry University for about actually 12 months now. They contacted me last year in February, and at that time I spoke with Jason Rossi and Patricia Meyer. They've been in the process of reopening a physical space for their library. At the time, actually, when I spoke to them, it was still closed, and they were talking about what they were going to do for this school year. So this is specifically for the Naperville location. There are several other locations nationally, including here in Illinois, but that Naperville location is the only one that's acting as like a lending library right now. So DeVry is a pretty large, mostly online university. They do have a small in-person presence. As I mentioned, especially at that Naperville location. They've received some interest from students who want to use that location to get physical materials. You can see from that background document that they have a very small collection, but they did tell me in their application that they have a collection of more than 250,000 ebook titles. So, they're very serious about serving their student populations, but they're just kind of maybe moving back into the physical realm a little bit. I will note that on that document that they used to be system members. They were system members until 2016 when they withdrew. And I think that you're just coming back around to the idea that there's, physical space and there's a physical aspect to librarianship a little bit as well. So. Can I answer any questions about that application?
Well, as a DeVry alum, I'm very happy to see that we're reapplying for membership. Attended the Tinley Park campus for a number of years, and they used to have a physical library there that was a great resource for the students, and I'm glad to see them prioritizing that again. May I have a motion for approval of full membership for DeVry University and to request final approval from the state library?
This is Becky. I move that we let DeVry in.
Thank you. And Diane, second.
Faster to say.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Back to Monica for discussion of the executive director goals for the coming fiscal year.
Thank you, Alex. So this is a little different than the way that we have sometimes done this process in the past, but since I just became executive director in February, we thought we'd approach from this direction. So what you see in your packet are some draft executive director goals. The board, of course, will determine what the goals for the executive director should be. So this is really just intended as a starting point for discussion. What we will do, of course, is show these to you. We can discuss these today. We can provide you an amended copy of the goals for the May meeting, at which point you can approve them. I will note that in the memo that I noted that the board will approve the finalized list of director goals at the May or June meeting, and it said 2024. That was a typo and should be 2023. So I just want to clarify that as well. So the draft executive director goals for fiscal year 24 are as you saw below. There are highlighted 13 goals, and we can open it up for discussion. Is there anything here that stood out to you? Anything that's missing that we need to be able to add? Anything else you'd like to see? or see differently.
I hope that, to go with what Monica Caldecott had said before, that goals, draft goal 7, where we're developing growth and partnerships, I hope that maybe there's a way to say to the other people on that list that this is one of our goals. We hope you literally make this physically one of your goals as well, just to ensure that we keep moving forward. I know that you can suggest that doesn't mean they're gonna do it, but I think it would be nice to see that as a goal for all of our partners.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of them have said it and they're acting that way, but we need things in writing. So I like that it's one of our goals. I hope that leads others to make it their leadership's goals going forward.
I understand. And I'm actually not familiar enough with where, the executive director goals are for some of our other organizations. So they may in fact already have those as goals. I will say it has been really wonderful to see some of the partnership efforts across our partner organizations in the last year or so, and where some of those things are taking us. We're so excited about the direction that the partnership that we have with our school libraries, and how that has been moving. I will be meeting with Ann Craig at Carly and Leslie Bednar on May 22nd to further discuss how the 3 of us can partner moving forward and work on things throughout the state. And with ISLAC starting up again and some of these other things that are happening, I do think there's exciting movement happening right now. I've been really pleased with our relationship with Chicago Public Library and Commissioner Chris Brown in particular, who has been an enthusiastic partner in many, many ways. We had our Explore More rebrand meeting that included himself and Leslie and myself and all 3 of our library's marketing teams. That was a really big success already. So great things are happening, but I hear you that it needs to be important for all of us to have that.
My
as a
next
priority.
question, when you brought up Chris Brown, there's a new mayor. Does that mean there's a new library commissioner?
I think we don't know what will happen, but I sure hope, that they have an understanding of how great he has been for the library community.
Want to comment that 13 goals is ambitious. I get that a lot of them are to continue things that are already ongoing, but as your first full year as the executive director, this is a very full plate, and I think we as a board should acknowledge that you're setting some pretty high standards here. So if we understand if some of these have to be subsumed or don't get as much focus.
I appreciate that, Julie.
I'm gonna piggyback on that too, though, because I noticed there were a lot in number, but then I looked at them a little more closely, and a lot of them require teamwork among everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that it's actually very good that there are many, because the many require all of our rail staff to be involved, which I also think, not that it'll make anything easier, but it will be more of a team effort. I think that in and of itself will be good for the organization.
I think one thing I really learned from the Rails strategic planning process that we did is that it's always better to set ambitious goals, because you will achieve more with that kind of ambition. And even if you don't hit every single goal in an exhaustive way, you're going to do so much more than if you had only set yourself goals you knew you could leap over, right? So that's how I prefer, goals to be. But I understand and I very much appreciate what you said, Julie.
You have a fantastic team to work with and delegate to.
Absolutely, yes.
If you can get that, I forget what number it is, the number 2, and having a number 2 will really.
Yes,
help.
I know. I know that
The
should be like
rest of
number 1. Yeah. But that sounds like we're on our way to that. So
Yeah.
that goal will get done quickly.
Yeah.
All right. And those will come back for approval next month.
In
by the
May,
board.
yes.
Okay. Thank you, Monica. Next.
I think Diane had a
Oh, sorry.
question.
I was just wondering, when we get, someone to fill your position,
Mhm.
will this new person assist you in reaching these goals, or would they have their own separate goals and objectives?
I can speak to it from when I was associate executive director. I always viewed a big part of the success of my role was making sure that our executive director was able to meet their goals. That said, there's of course a separate evaluation that happens for the associate executive director. They do have their own specific goals to meet that are not specifically related to this list. But I do think associate executive directors typically understand that a big part of their role is to help the director achieve these things moving forward.
But there's not a separate set of, I guess, goals, responsibilities, duties that are just inherent with that position.
There will be, especially as they'll have direct reports at a director level. So there will definitely be things that are theirs to achieve and move forward.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, next we'll discuss the upcoming board election and nominating committee. So thanks to the hard work of the nominating committee members and Rail staff, we have filled all of the open nominations for the upcoming board election. So we will have some contested elections. There are 5 seats up this year, 3 trustee seats, those currently held by me, Becky Spratford, and Beth Teppen. The school seat held by Monica Caldecott, the academic seat held by Jennifer McIntosh. And since Juanita Harrell resigned last month, her specialized library seat is also open, and whoever is elected to that seat will carry out the remainder of her term through June 2025. All other terms up for election are from July 2023 through June 2026. At this time, we've received 12 nominations, 3 for the school library seat, 3 for the specialized library seat, 1 for the academic library seat, and 5 for the 3 public library trustee seats. Flyers are going out to all members as a reminder to vote in the upcoming election, which will run from May 8th at 8 a.m. through May 24th at 5 p.m. Any questions or discussion about the election process?
Do they have a little, I remember reading a little biography on each person and what seat they were going for? Is that going to be sent out?
That was part of the application process. So those will be on the website with the
On the ballot.
Yep.
Mhm.
So there'll be a link and you open it up and it'll show their picture as well as their kind of blurb.
Yeah.
I'm excited that we got 3 special libraries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
That's-
excited about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
That's really
a good
exciting.
response.
All right. Next, we have board development topic on EDI programs and services with Monica and Joe Philippek.
And I'm going to have Joe start us off by introducing this topic.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I know it's Friday afternoon. We have long drives ahead of us, a lot of it, so we'll be efficient, I promise. So actually, it was our intention today to have our EDI consultant, Biz Lindsay Ryan, join and actually talk to you all. But unfortunately, she had a personal matter that she had to attend to, so she couldn't be with us. So she sends her apologies, but she's certainly willing to come to a board meeting again down the road, especially with so many new board members. There
Yes.
might definitely be a good opportunity for that. But we still wanted to use this time to share with you things that we're doing on this topic. So instead of Biz, you're going to hear from a few of us. And to start with, I think we're going to have Dan Bostrom back with us. There's Dan, and he's going to just talk a little bit about the Rails climate team.
Thanks, Joe. So hi, everyone. Hi again. I volunteered to speak a little bit about my experiences with the climate team. I've been a climate team member since August 2021. And just, as a reminder, this group was originally formed as a staff group. And the goal was really to think critically about the culture and climate of the organization. That's why we call it the climate team. And we represent a lot of different areas of the organization. It's a cross-departmental team, and that's what makes it a lot of fun, honestly. We work with our consultant, Biz, who is really great at helping us kind of think critically and guiding the way that we approach the work. So in my mind, huge part of equity, diversity, inclusion is just transparency and accountability. And, when I say transparency and accountability, I especially mean being transparent and accountable to stakeholders, boards, you all, members, member libraries, other staff, and then ultimately to ourselves in a lot of ways. So, to do that, we had to look at everything. So, Joe, maybe you remember this, but I think we spent basically a whole year coming up with this super comprehensive Excel list of all the things related to culture and climate in Rails, and we really framed it kind of 4 ways and for 4 relationships. So the staff relationship with member libraries, the staff relationship with the board, the staff relationship with partner organizations, and then the staff relationship with other staff members. So, you know, we're in all of these things, we're looking at structural issues. You know, racism and discrimination, a lot of times it's in the walls. And you need to really look at all aspects of your work to sort of figure out how to dismantle it. You know, we looked at all the problems and, you know, potential solutions. And then we really split the work up into teams to come up with sort of solutions. So there's a bunch of teams and a bunch of, you know, individual groups doing work. I'm just going to talk briefly about two of them. So one is one that I'm directly involved in, and that's something called the Rails Connections program. One of the problems that we saw with Rails was just it can be a challenging environment for a new hire. You know, so like any organization, I think we're a bit siloed, and you know, especially during the pandemic, it'd just be very challenging to come into this environment and suddenly feel like, you know, this was your home. So I worked with Sam Daly and Emily Feister, and we kind of came up with a solution for our Connections program. It's a little bit like a mentoring program, kind of without that expectation of one person sort of being the guide for the other person. It's more just, you know, a peer buddy system. So we're really in the beginning stages of this project, and actually we're going to be announcing the matches pretty soon. And I know that this is something that Sam has actually talked about integrating into our HR onboarding process, which is exciting. So I also, the other project I want to talk about is the staff engagement efforts that have really been quite stellar and quite effective. And I'll talk about, I just want to mention the team that's doing this by name. So Joe is on the team, as is Ryan Hebel, Robert Morgan, Tony Hahn, Eric Bain, and Stacy Palmisano. And they've just been a lot of fun. I mean, it's really trying to get the staff more engaged in one another, in the idea of libraries, in the work that we're doing together. So we've done chili cook-off that Joe won. Congratulations, Joe. We've done. I don't want to inflate Joe's ego any more than possible, but we did a national chocolate. We celebrated National Chocolate Caramel Day recently. We did National Muffin Day, National Random Acts of Kindness. So you know, so much of this is just you know, kind of getting staff to pause and think about you know, things that are going on, and a lot of this has been done by people that aren't on the climate team, but recognize the importance of the work. So I specifically want to say thank you to Stacy Palmisano, who's been really effective in communicating these things to staff and keeping them going. So these are just two examples of the type of works that's going on via the climate team. And I'm not going to talk too much about the other projects, but safe to say that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Yeah, I'll answer any questions, but at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Joe, who could talk a little bit about the EDI cohort, as well as the continuing education and the staff training that we're doing.
Thank you so much, Dan. And regarding the cohort, our group has been together for about almost 2.5 years now. So we are looking, and we have had a lot of new staff, and we recognize that there could be blind spots, things that we haven't really even thought about. And that's why you want to have some cycling and getting some new people. So that'll be happening in the months ahead. Yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of talk about some training things. You've heard me mention the EDI learning cohort before. As a reminder, this is a cohort that began in September and has been meeting monthly since then, and we'll wrap up next month, actually in May. Group made up of around 40 of our members coming from public libraries, academic libraries, and we do have 1 or 2 school librarians that are part of that cohort. And basically each month, different topic that we're exploring in the sort of EDI sphere through a combination of presentations and facilitations from biz, a lot of small and large group discussion, and then a lot of sharing of resources, articles, videos, et cetera, that we're doing through our Moodle site. Anecdotally, in talking to cohort members, I know one of the things they kind of value the most is the small group that we formed in the beginning, and each month they kind of have small group discussions during our session that they're exploring these topics. And I know they've really forged some good relationships, and that's obviously part of the whole point of doing a cohort like this with the same group of people. We'll be working with Grant Halter. We are working with Grant Halter now on our data analyst manager to really develop an assessment that will help us gauge some of the outcomes of this cohort for participants and ultimately for their libraries. What areas of growth that they are still interested in this area, any other feedback that could really help us assess the utility of a cohort like this and whatever changes we might consider for future cohorts. But of course, the cohort by design is limited in the number of people that can participate. So we know we have to offer CE that is available to all. So over the last 2 years, we've been able to offer, by my count, 19 different CE events in this area of EDI through a combination of the CE that we organize and execute from the CE team, but then also through the EDI event or the CE event grants. And so a lot of our libraries have organized some really great training in EDI that's been supported through these grants, so we'll continue to do that. Just in terms of moving forward in upcoming EDI, I just wanted to mention we have what I think will be a really great online workshop next month, May 23rd, with Zan Goodman, who's health sciences librarian at the University of Las Vegas, and she is going to introduce the concept of cultural humility for libraries. Which I guess I would describe as a framework, among other things, that really focuses on structural inequities and those kind of long established imbalance of power. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be on May 23rd. I think we just started promoting it this week. And then finally, in terms of staff training, as Dan spoke to with regards to climate team, we know that our EDI focus has to not only be on our members, but also internally and support and really do work in having and establishing and continuing an inclusive workplace, and to help staff across all our departments and function understand why this topic is essential and critical, not only internally, but so they understand why we're doing this for our members as well. So to that end, among other things, we've done a total of 16 hours of EDI training for all Rails staff over the course of 2 and 4 hour sessions that have covered just foundational relationships, gender identity, structural racism, et cetera. And we'll obviously be looking at what other topics we need to explore with staff. So at this point, I think Monica was just going to say a few things about the EDI board committee.
Thank you, Joe. So we wanted to share a little bit about some of the work that's happened through the EDI board committee over the last year. Diane Hollister is, of course, our chair on that committee. We are working on multiple things over this year, but one very interesting thing is increased focus on partnership. And one thing that we have done in service of that is added a liaison role for the BIPOC networking group that is happening through Rails. That group continues to do a huge amount of work in the Rails service area around this issue. And they now provide a quarterly report to the committee about the work that is happening through their liaison, Michelle Metalski. We also had a request from IACRL that they would like to join the group beginning this next month in May, to also report on some of the activities that are happening around diversity, equity, and inclusion within that group. And so one thing that we're going to bring to that group moving forward are there are additional groups that are doing this work in the library world in Illinois that we want to connect with and continue to use that group as a hub to report on the work that's happening and making sure that we are amplifying each other's work as opposed to duplicating effort. So that is a potential direction that group will be working on. The group's also been very focused on sharing best practices in EDI by committee members. So there's an agenda item on each meeting now where committee members are sharing the things that are happening in their areas and their libraries, so that work can continue to be compiled, shared, and hopefully duplicated in some ways in other libraries. And then we are having an ongoing discussion about increasing buy-in for EDI principles from library leadership. That group in particular believes that it's very hard to move this work through libraries unless there's buy-in from library directors and library boards. And so they're developing a lot of ideas for how we can continue to make sure that these messages are heard by those leaders. And that's resulting in things for next year that we will talk about shortly. So I'll pass it back to you, Joe.
Thank you, Monica. So finally, just kind of looking ahead, obviously continuation of a lot of things we're doing now, but as we think of other things that we want to do or highlight, and you heard some of these related to the operational report as we look into the next fiscal year. Monica mentioned the review of the employee handbook and those associated policies. We want to know, really examine how the content, the messaging, the enforcement might lead to sort of an inequitable experience for staff. So being able to look through the equity lens and make the appropriate changes if that's the case. Dan mentioned the Staff Connections program. As far as staff training, everything up to this point has really been for all staff, but we realize that we may want to do some targeted training for certain staff and certain functions. So as we know, if you're a manager, there are certain things and foundations that we've explored in our staff training that have implications for hiring, recruitment, promotion, discipline. So really maybe looking at some training that we will try to offer for our managers specifically. And that's just one example. We'll be have been starting to explore some self-paced online learning modules that are out there around EDI and social justice work in libraries that could help us potentially reach a wider audience of Rails membership. Monica mentioned the EDI presenter directory. Now that this new website is launched, we're hoping in the fall that we'll be able to have that available as a resource for our members. And as I think Monica mentioned as well, the idea of EDI training that has trustees and intended audience to hopefully bring some understanding as to why this work is important, why it's necessary, and ultimately we would argue good for business if you're a trustee and thinking about what you need to do to serve your community best. And I know, Becky, that's training you have done. Biz has done that training as well. I mean, there's a lot of need, and we know that trustees, this board is an example of supporting this kind of work, but we know the opposite is true as well as in inhibiting. So, and part of it might just be understanding. So if we can bring some of that understanding, I think there's some positive outputs that could result. And of course, just continuing CE training and the CE event grants that will continue to prioritize EDI efforts that our members are wanting to implement and make available for other Rails members. So I believe that is everything we were hoping to share with you today. Again, we'll be happy to coordinate with Biz if you all would like to have her come back at a future meeting. I know she would be happy to do that. I'll pass it back to Monica, but certainly if there are any comments or questions, we'd be happy.
I have a comment. And Joe asked about this and I didn't have an answer, but so I submitted a program for ILA and in it, but we don't have an answer, so I feel like I should talk about it. Where I am sort of moderating people I've worked with who've done this work. And so I did ask Sam Daly to be on that committee and on that panel, and she said yes, to represent the climate team and all that. And then Joe is going to identify someone from the EDI cohort, so that one is up in the air, as well as 2 Rails member libraries who I've worked with who have done good things, including one that has had some issues and had to deal with consequences. Not from board, from staff. So their board was very receptive. So anyway, so we're gonna have hopefully a robust discussion at ILA, if it's accepted, about what happens after you do training. Because I think that there's a lot of people training right now. And what we're starting to hear, even here today, is about what happens after you start training. So I think that's the conversation that needs to happen, and hopefully scare up more people to do the cohort. Not that you need more people, but but just to show people what happens from the work. So I hope that happens.
Thank you, Becca.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments about the EDI initiative as it exists, or things you'd like to ask Joe or myself?
I just want to add one thing. This is Renee.
Hi, Renee.
Okay, good. To what Becky's mentioning, so I'm part of ILA's conference committee, and that was actually one of the things that I was thinking about and we were discussing is with the EDI implementation when there's presentations is if the speakers have experience in EDI, like gone through it, because usually sometimes a lot of the times when you do presentations, a lot of it has to do with you learn the concept, but did you go through it? And so when you have people there that have gone through it or have had experience, that makes a total big difference than people who have learned it from the books.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's and Becky, yeah, we have one more meeting, and I think we'll have everyone's acceptance letters being mailed to them or at least emailed. But I know the EDI whole thing is just going to the next step. And I think one of the things that I shared even on my LinkedIn was the subject of tokenism. So when certain businesses do want to implement the idea, but then go the wrong way and then just hire to then being able to just add one person into their business to say, hey, I did my part and that's it. And it's like, it's not just that, so. But anyway, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that perspective, Renee, and especially for the perspective from the ILA conference committee side. It's valuable to hear that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Joe.
Well, that brings us to Rails board member reports. Does anyone have any news about their library they would like to share?
Not my library, but go send your staff to Reaching Forward.
There's still time.
There's still time. It's on May 5th. It's a Friday. It doesn't take the whole day. They're done by 3-ish. It's really great. It's a great way for your staff to network. It's a great place for library staff to grow. If you have staff that they're like, I want to grow in the library field and I just don't know how.
We literally have a program on that.
We have.
I had a program literally on that topic.
And also, if you are interested in your libraries hosting multicultural events or how to be EDI, we have that's our focus. So a lot of the workshops will have that from, trustees to staff to librarians with master's degrees. So yes, that's my plug.
And if you send your staff, it comes with lunch, so you don't have to worry about extra costs. It's all built in.
All built in.
Well, this is Monica on Zoom. I want to say that my high school library is super thrilled and happy. We were the recipient of a My Library Is grant from Rails. Yeah, thank you. We will be able to add books in Ukrainian. In the past semester, we have had, I think, 4 or 5 new students who whose families have moved from the Ukraine. And they have come, their teacher is a wonderful advocate of reading. And so they come to the library regularly. And I have one small shelf of books in Russian and no books at all in Ukrainian. And both of those need to be improved a lot. I thought at first, well, how awful that I'm saying to these students, like, well, I don't have books in Ukrainian, but I do have books in the language of the country that invaded your country. Welcome to America. But their teacher informed me that they often in Ukrainian schools, they learn in Russian. So maybe it's not as much of a hard, I don't know, confluence than I thought it was. But with this grant, we'll definitely be able to improve our world languages collection and add a welcoming, beautiful mural to a big bare wall at the front of the library. So thank you so much to Rails on behalf of myself and the other school libraries who won My Library Is grants.
I'd like to bring up an initiative that deals with EDI that we just did at LaGrange. We had our board meeting on Tuesday. We've been working, we're very lucky that Joyce Hagan McIntosh from the Freedom to Read Foundation is on our board. So we get a lot of really good things from her and all her bad things, but she helps us make sure our things are good. So we've been working very, very hard on, because of things I learned at ALA, I brought back, so this is why you should send staff to ALA, to our board to work on our procedure for our trustees in terms of their oath taking. We knew going in that we would have 2 retirements from the board this year, and we had 4 people running, we had 5 people running for 4 spots. So we have 2 new people coming on. And so we thought it was a good time to have the entire board retake a new oath. So we worked really hard on it. We wanted it to be very firm and strong in favor of intellectual freedom and good behavior with the things that have gone on in our state and other places. But we did not want to be, we didn't want to go too far and, cross any other lines. So we came up with and you could talk to Jen Hovanek or look on our website when we put it up for next month, because we're a May 1 Village Library. So we're gonna have every trustee sign. You know how you get a policy manual from when you get hired? We're gonna do a trustee manual, which actually Joyce wrote for us with input from all, from the whole board. We worked on it for like 4 months. And we decided to, rather than change our oath, we attached the United for Libraries trustee ethics, like their ethics statement, which is on their website and is free. And it's like 2 pages. And every new trustee, and this year, all 7 trustees are signing that. So you're gonna receive like a trustee manual, and you are gonna sign it. And therefore, then if somebody doesn't do the things in it, we have recourse to get them off the board, because that is one of the problems. When you have board members who are doing things that are against your policies, how do you get them to stop? And there really isn't a lot of really good ways to do that. Dr. Emily Knox at University of Illinois has done a lot of work on this, and we started our conversation from things I learned from her. So if anyone would like to look at that, they can contact LaGrange Library, just director@lagrangelibrary.org. But we just passed it Tuesday night, and we're very excited about it. Like I said, the entire board is going to sign it, even those of us who did not run for election, just to have unity. So we're very excited. Hopefully we'll be talking about that at ILA, Renee.
Really innovative solution.
Yeah, I thank Joyce for the idea. I mean, I learned that I got the concept at ALA, but she really turned it into action. And then we did pass our strategic plan, where we also have very strong language about, and again, hopefully we'll talk about this at ILA, but we put in, we got into our mission statement something. I wanted to say we won't collect this information, but Joyce reminded me that that could be twisted. So we have in our mission statement, we only collect, oh shoot, what was the term I told you? Meaningful resources. So stop any, so like you don't have to let Nazis do anything in your library. And we will only, we had curiosity, belonging. We put a lot of really strong EDI language from all the work we've learned about in all our different trainings to make our strategic plan very firmly on the side of outward facing and bringing as many people in. So I hope it works out. We're starting it May 1st. So, but I'm very excited about that board one. I think that one we should share.
Yeah.
Well, Helen Plum Library had their grand opening this past weekend. Very successful, well attended. And over 5,500 members of the community in on Saturday and Sunday, and just heard a lot of very positive feedback. So we're excited to be open again and serving our community.
So exciting.
And tomorrow, New Lenox has their grand reopening for their renovated first floor space, including the expanded studio maker space. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow morning, and the large scissors that I think the chamber is bringing for us.
Good, you got the large scissors. The large scissors are great. We did it with Sean Ford when we opened our maker space, because he gave us money.
Anyone else? All right. Then that brings us to our meeting recap and agenda building for the next Rails board meeting, which will be on Friday, May 26th at 10 a.m. At Rails location in Burr Ridge. The emergency proclamation will be expiring by then, so please note that we will have to have at least 8 people in person to have a quorum for that meeting at either Burr Ridge or East Peoria or another properly noticed location.
If you have any questions about that properly noticed location, just email me.
Thanks, Emily.
And we will be approving the final draft of the operational plan for 2024 and the executive director goals for the coming year. As well as the budget on the agenda for
The
next
budget
month?
will also
And the
be
budget. Anything else we should add to the agenda for next month's meeting?
Alex, just a question about from
Yes.
Zoom, a question about the election results. Those of us whose seats are up.
When are those certified?
It typically does take a bit of time and has to be certified by the nominating committee as well. So we might not have those results by our next board meeting.
Okay.
Do you-
The nominating committee is not meeting till the 31st.
Right, so we won't.
You may know, but they may not be public.
The election
Put it that way.
and what date again?
Because
The 24th
Okay.
of May.
make sure everyone knows the results before we
Yes.
publicize the results.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And the terms,
Candidates, sorry.
the terms run through June. So do the newly elected directors take office at the June meeting or in July?
July.
In July. Okay,
Yeah.
very
There's that
good.
all day meeting.
Yes.
Right.
But that is a good question, because like at ours, we do it all, we're doing a May reorganizational, and then we close that and start the new board meeting.
Yes.
Board.
And that's just difficult because because.
No, it's so
We're
difficult.
remote.
Mhm.
So, and I just want to note that my last meeting will actually be in May, because I'm running an all day, because we moved up the June meeting.
Mhm.
I'm running an all day continuing education event in Pittsburgh on the day of that meeting, so I can't even attend from Pittsburgh, so.
Okay.
So sorry. I might like log in for a second if there's a break, but because I have like 100 librarians coming to that, so.
Emily, can you say again the date of the June board meeting?
Oh, yeah, it's moved up.
I think is it the 18th?
I know it's the 16th, because that's the day I'm running my event. 16th. It's moved up a week because of ALA.
Right, so it's the third Friday, Friday the
Okay.
16th of June.
Got it, thanks.
That's at 1, yeah.
Right.
Regular.
All right. Any final comments before we adjourn? If not, this meeting is adjourned at 2:30 PM. Thank you all.
Well.
Thank
done.
you.